Hey, what's up everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so I feel like talking a little basketball. Obviously the playoffs are like a week and a half away, and it's a lot of stuff going on in the Western Conference. It's like a damn near a 6 or 7 way tie heading down the last final games between the 3 seed and like the 8th seed. Now, a good thing for my Lakers is that we are pretty much in a position to have the tiebreaker over most of those teams, if not all of those teams. So what has been said is all we got to do, we have our own destiny in our hands right now. All we got to do is win 2 of the last 4 remaining games, and we ice it for 3rd place, from what I understand. Or we secure for certain a home court advantage against the teams behind us. We're in the top 4. So 2 spot is not mathematically impossible, but we need a lot of help from the Rockets losing pretty much all their games. Something like that. And we have to win all ours or something like that, and we can get that 2 spot. But that's all but sold up. I don't see that happening. But 3 is looking really realistic right now, based on us having a tiebreaker on so many teams. And the fortunate nature of being in the division that we're in gives us even more a double down on that, because OKC and Houston all in the same division. Minnesota, they're all in the same division, so it's very difficult for them to rise above us because they don't lead their division, which I think is actually a flaw in the system, if I'm being honest with you, but it works in our favor. That's a bit flawed. But whatever the case may be, that's what's going on there. We have an easier division, although the Clippers and Golden State, of course, are in our division, and those teams are in the mix. The Clippers, in fact, are in 5th place. So if the Lakers lose out, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. But all we got to do is win 2 of the next 4 games, and we're good. And it's a tough schedule, man. I'm not gonna lie. The Lakers could reasonably lose 3 of those games. Honestly, we talk about the OKC game tomorrow. You got the Dallas game the day after that. You got a Portland game, and you got a Houston game. Not in that order. So could I see the Lakers winning all of those games? Based on how we played yesterday, yeah, I can see us winning all those games. Or do I expect us to necessarily? Nah, I don't. Probably split. I think there could be a legitimate letdown with the Portland game, because what could happen is the Lakers could have everything sold up by then. If we happen to beat the Rockets, could happen to beat the Dallas Mavericks, maybe we lose tomorrow, I could see us dropping the Portland game. But you don't want to count on beating the Rockets, because obviously we just beat the Rockets, but they're beating everybody else. So this is just like with OKC. You don't really want to count on that being a victory at all, the way the Rockets are playing. So the Dallas game, I don't see us losing that game, but at the same time, it is going to be an interesting game emotionally for Luka returning back to Dallas, and then AD going up against us. So Dallas has kind of got the 10th seed locked up, I think, more or less. I don't think they're going to catch Sacramento, and I'm definitely certain Phoenix has officially been eliminated. So Dallas made the play-in tournament for certain. Can't move up above 9, I don't think. So will they decide to rest some people in that game? I doubt it. Not with the emotional ties to this situation. I don't see it. But there's a chance that maybe they see fit to rest AD. I don't see that. I don't think AD would even agree to that. And I don't see Luka agreeing to that either. But it's the second of a back-to-back for the Lakers. And the Dallas Mavericks haven't played since, Saturday? And won't play again until that game. So they're getting a nice long rest. So, I don't know, man. That Dallas game is a bit tricky. We're going to come off of getting beaten up a little bit. Win or lose tomorrow against OKC, they're going to come out with probably a physical disposition, given how they just played against us yesterday and got blown out. I can't see them taking that game anything less than lightly. I mean, the opposite. Very seriously. So, yeah, man, this is going to be tough tomorrow. Even though we just blew this team out, I don't think that's a sign of the matchups being so far in our favor that we just expected to do that. I don't think so. In fact, I expect for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to get to the line about 12 times, given the fact he didn't get to the line. But 3 times in the last 2 games, I don't think that's sustainable at all. I do not think that's sustainable. So, yeah, man. We're going to look forward to hopefully the Lakers taking care of business against Dallas and Portland, I guess, is what you would expect to get victories. But it is what it is. Portland is mathematically eliminated now, so I was wrong. I thought they were still in a position to possibly catch that 10th seed last night before seeing that they hadn't. I mentioned that. I thought they were still playing for something, so they're not. But they're spoilers. They're a team with a bunch of players that are likely ready to take the next step in the right direction, and nothing would make them happier than to play spoiler against us, one of their teams that they hated the most. So I can see Portland going all out in that game. I believe the game is in their building, so we don't typically play well in the Rose Garden. I think it's an early game on a Sunday. Don't typically play well in those. Final game of the season, I don't know. It depends on how these next couple of games go. But yeah, that's from a Laker point of view. Another team that I think we need to, obviously talk about a lot of teams in the West right now in this situation. I think about what's going on with the Clippers finding themselves in the position they're in. They just beat up on Dallas twice and find themselves in the 5th seed right now. With I don't remember who they see. I don't remember. I looked at everybody's schedule, but I don't remember. I didn't retain all of that. But I don't particularly think they have a particularly difficult schedule left. They might go 2-1 if my memory serves correct with what it is you expect to see there. I think they got Golden State, Portland or something. I don't remember Clippers got. But yeah, they are in a strong position to possibly stay in that 5th spot or maybe even move up. Meanwhile, Denver dropped 4 straight. I don't know, Denver is in disarray, man. It's a great thing to see if you're a Laker fan or if you're an anti-Denver person. Them being in disarray is wonderful to see at this stretch, down this stretch. But I would caution everybody to understand Jokic is playing the best ball, maybe anybody's played, like maybe ever, like literally. He's having it his way out there, putting up historical numbers pretty much every night, averaging basically a 30-point triple-double. I mean, the guy is just like, he's outer-worldly, man. There's a lot of people that people mention as one of the great players of all time, and given the fact that he's a center, it's a difficult thing to see him as a greatest player of all time candidate. But the numbers that he's putting up, man, he has to be considered one of those top 20 players maybe ever if he keeps this up for the rest of his career, man. Top 20 player maybe ever. I'm not even joking. It's a lot of people who we celebrate as Hall of Famers who are not as talented as this dude. It just is what it is. And it's awkward because he's not a rim protecting center. So when you start talking about greatest centers of all time, you got people who won 12 championships. You got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You got the likes of Shaquille. You got all these different people that you have to say, has he done enough in this league to even be up there as a great center? But the truth of the matter is, if he stays on the path he's on, and if the Denver Nuggets put a good enough team around him year in, year out, I don't doubt he can accomplish some of the things that some of those great dudes did, man. I don't doubt he's more talented than some of them people. So it's difficult to say that as an old head who grew up on Shaquille, who remembers Hakeem Olajuwon, who remembers prime Patrick Ewing, David Robinson. I remember watching a lot of them dudes. I saw a little Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when I was a little kid. I didn't know what the hell I was looking at, but the point was I laid eyes on him play. I've seen great centers play. That doesn't take away from the fact that what I'm seeing is some of the best stuff I've ever seen from a center. It just is. I grew up on Shaquille, so I know what great center play looks like to the traditionalists. And I know how it looks when they win and dominate, for which Jokic has not done enough winning. So for me to vault him in front of winners, it's going to require him win some more. But as I said, a lot of that ain't on him. A lot of that's on the Denver Nuggets front office making good decisions with the roster. And I could argue that any of those great centers would have struggled if the roster wasn't together around putting up the numbers that they did and losing just like Jokic is. But Jokic has won a championship. He's won one, so you can't really challenge him to do that when it's been done. I challenged him before he did it. He pulled it off. So now I have to look at him as a champion. If he don't win another one for the rest of his career, he got one. So I don't know, man. I'm of the mindset that he is one of the most talented people to ever play basketball. And with that being said, if you're gonna challenge him to overcome having not so good roster, that's a tough ask of any player. And that's exactly what I think he has going on right now. A not so great roster. Denver makes some decisions that they shouldn't have made. And that's what I see there. So, yeah, with all of that being said, I wouldn't take him lightly going into the first round just because his team is not as good, because he still is. And you got to deal with that dude. That's the bottom line. And so my respect for Jokic knows no end. He's the best player in basketball to me. He has been for about 4 years now. He is my pick for MVP, even with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doing all the stuff he's doing. Respectfully, Shai is just simply second. Now, if y'all don't want to give it to Jokic because you got voters fatigue, I don't blame people for having voters fatigue in some situations. I just don't happen to have it. I don't happen to have voters fatigue this year. And I understand that team success is important, but not nearly as important as the numbers that Jokic is putting up. I'm sorry. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has the ability to look over to the left of him and to the right of him and see nothing but talent up and down the roster. One of the deepest teams ever assembled based on some of the decisions made by Sam Presti to capitalize on teams who were mortgaging their future. That is why Shai's team is at the top of the Western Conference. It's not because he's so great. No, because if you put him on a team that's depleted of talent, when you put him on a team with decent talent, he can put up those numbers and still lose just like Jokic. So for me, I think the way that people view the MVP process as to say we reward team success doesn't often take into account how that success is possible. And most importantly, why a player who's putting up MVP numbers may not be successful. It may not be because he's not good enough to win. It may be because the dude that you guys are supporting is on a souped-up basketball team where one of their best players may be taking half of what he's deserving and two of them other players on rookie contracts than the top 7 of their rotation. Like, that type of stuff determines a lot of success. So you're going to give the top dog MVP over a guy who's dragging nonsense into respectability? Seems like that would be a more difficult task, don't you think? Than being a great player on a great team running through the regular season. So I think it's all a case-by-case situation basis. I think sometimes you can apply that logic and be right. In this case, I don't. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a nice MVP candidate, top 2. Jokic is the number 1 player in the basketball. It has been for about 5 years. And him not getting MVP this year is egregious to me. I'm sorry. I ain't going to sway from that. I don't believe he's going to get it. I think they're going to give it to Shai, but it belongs to Jokic. He's doing more with less, period. He's doing more with less. And they're still in a respectable space. You know, his front office thought it was a great idea to bring in Russell Westbrook. That cost him a couple wins right there. You'll be mad at me for saying that, Russell fans, but it's just a fact. That cost them wins. They thought it was a good idea to trade up for a player that ultimately, unfortunately, went down with an injury for the whole season in the draft last year. They could have used their first-round pick anywhere in the world. They used it on a player that ended up out for the season. It just happened the way it was. Traded up to get him. A 4-year guy that ended up with an Achilles injury in the first summer league of his rookie season. I mean, like, some stuff is just like, yo, man, that's not their fault, but it is what happened. They got the Zeke Naji contract. Zeke Naji's a role player. They're paying him all that money. It's like, it's a lot of stuff that Denver did that's why Jokic's team is not that great. They gave Jamal Murray all that money, knowing damn well Jamal Murray's injury prone. Jamal Murray's a killer, no doubt, but is he going to play 82 games a season? Hell no. Hell no. So, like, certain things that the Denver Nugget front office has done has deteriorated the team around Jokic. Not re-signing Bruce Brown. Not re-signing KCP this season. You know, some of that stuff is why Jokic is not considered on a winning team per se this year, because the team front office did some stuff that wasn't winning stuff. That didn't mean that his numbers aren't crazy. His numbers are crazy. So I'm frustrated with that on his behalf. I'm very frustrated with that. And I think he needs the MVP. because his numbers are just better than the other dude, period. And if Jokic wasn't around, then Shai's MVP. So I look at it. Shai definitely deserving, just not as deserving. So that's the hill I'm gonna stand on. And if anybody disagrees with me, you have every right. Shai's done enough to make you say, yo, he's been great. It's not greater than Jokic. Period. And so that's my point of view. I'll move on from there. I think the Minnesota Timberwolves are a dangerous basketball team. I do not want to see in the first round. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them because they come with a lot of energy. They have a lot more depth, even though their coach puts a cap on that depth by not using it. You don't want to see them dudes in 7 games. Not at all. I can argue they have a more talented overall team this year than they did last year. I really believe that. It's overall more talented. Rob Dilley and Terrence Shannon and Garza. Those guys weren't, like, Garza was on the team last year, but they didn't, utilize him. They ain't using him this year either, but it's not the point. The point is the talent around Ant-Man is significantly more athletic. A guy like Jaden McDaniels has taken a significant leap in his productivity on the offensive end. He was already an elite defender. Now you got to call him a two-way guy. And the other guys that they had, I think Gilgeous-Alexander's cousin, Nikhil, who's a free agent, probably got a big playoffs right here to determine how much money he can demand. He's somebody you got to pay attention to as a player who's taking a step forward this season. It's a lot to consider about that Minnesota team. Rudy Gobert's having a pretty good season. He's still healthy. Julius Randle, people can talk about him all they want. He's still somebody you don't want to have to deal with. He's still one of the most powerful players and one of the faster players at his size you're going to find. Still a complete and utter all-star handful. People may not necessarily trust his decision-making. He may not always be consistent or whatever. But game for game, if he's playing well or he's hitting shots, he can pull you out of it. He can take you out of it. So it's a lot of stuff going on over there in Minnesota that's good. And the Western Conference would be very happy if they're in the play-in tournament fighting for their lives. Because if somebody has to see them in the first round, it's going to be a hellified round. Hellified. And so I just want to put that out there. Minnesota is dangerous. I think the ceiling of that team is overall capped a little bit because they moved on from Cat, and Cat was very important for what it is they did, ceiling-wise. But I only think that's realized because their coach's unwillingness to play those young players with all that energy and all that talent they have on the back of their bench. They can make up for that if he utilized those players more. So that's been my take on Minnesota. They play a hellified amount of defense, and if they utilize the players that they have, they can score a lot of points too. So I think they could be dangerous if that team is utilized correctly. If that coach would just get the hell out the way and utilize everything he has, that's a contender. That's a straight-up contender. And they've been playing good ball to close the season thus far. So they're in that 6-way tie. They could very easily find themselves moving up to 5 or 4. And I think that's pretty damn dangerous. So I don't think they'll win the West. Well, I don't think they're getting back to the Western Conference Finals this year because I think the field has gotten stronger. But they're still a team that could punish anybody. Really anybody. So I got an eye on them. Kawhi Leonard's healthy, scoring 20 points a game over the last 10 games. Anytime Kawhi Leonard's in place, you have to wonder if they're going to be a contender. The Clippers, man, I don't know, bro. Is this the year? Who knows, bro? If I'm being honest with y'all, my Laker love has made me biased toward the Clippers. And then furthermore, my skepticism. I know this don't have nothing to do with what happens in between the lines necessarily. So I don't want people to think that I'm applying this to actual basketball analyzing. But at some point in time, the history starts to be something that you start thinking really hovers over the franchise. And from where I'm sitting, and it has been this way for as long as I've been alive, the Clippers do not contend. It don't matter how good their team actually is. They never actually meet expectations unless those expectations are for them to fail. Now, could this be a different unit? Yeah, they got a lot of talent this year. Is this the best Clipper team I've ever seen? No. No, they're not. I've seen Clipper teams with higher ceilings fall short of their expectations. So this year, is this going to be the year I say, yo, the Clippers can finally do it? As a lifelong Angelino, the answer is hell no. Of course not. How many times do we have to see this movie before you guys understand how this goes? Clippers are never going to win a championship. They ain't never going nowhere. They can't get nowhere. I don't care who you put in the uniform. It's over before it starts because it's the Clippers. That's literally it. You ask any lifelong Angelino that is not a Clipper fan, because a Clipper fan ain't going to agree with this, even though they've endured the suffering that's proven this to them time and time again. But non-Laker fans or Laker fans, anybody that's been in Los Angeles long enough to know what the hell the Clippers been up to. Has this ever been anywhere less than accurate? The Clippers ain't doing nothing, no matter how much people try to talk them up. Stephen A. Smith, all these people have been talking up the Clippers for ever since they got Blake Griffin. When the tables turned on their so-called fate. Like when they won the Blake Griffin candidacy, or whatever you call that, the draft, and then from there, David Stern pulled that bullcrap. Have the Clippers been anything less than a contender in some talking heads' mind every single year? Of course, they're always a contender. When they went and got Kawhi Leonard, oh yeah, the Clippers can do it this year. Oh, they got Paul George. They're better than the Lakers now. Look at Kawhi. He chose the Clippers over the Lakers. It never ends, fam. And it's always the same thing. Do you know why? Because it's the Clippers. Literally. So, are they anything less than the Clippers this year? Of course not. The name is still the Clippers. They made a move to their own building for the first time since 1980, whatever the hell it was, when they had the sports arena or whatever. I was like 5 years old. But it don't change the fact that they're the damn Clippers. They're still the Clippers, man. They ain't doing nothing. And so that's what I want to tell everybody. Now, could tables turn? I've seen the tables turn in situations like that. The Red Sox were like that for a long time. And then they were able to overcome that. And they won several championships after 100 years, right? It can happen. You've seen it happen before. Not very often, though. But teams turn the corner. We saw the Lions get to the big game. Not the big game, but like the championship game. Was it 2 years ago? Something like that. It's possible. We saw the Commanders get to the championship game this past year. You can turn the tide on a long term of failure. You can really do that. I saw the Golden State Warriors do it, even though a lot of people in this era don't remember when the Warriors sucked. But the Warriors sucked for a long time, man. Like a long time. When I say a long time, it's one of them situations where you look up and you look at the standings, you're like, damn, this team still sucks. Like, that's how long the Warriors were bad for an extended period of time. When they finally got good, it was amazing to me. Like, oh my God, are you serious? The Warriors are actually good? Steph Curry is developed. He don't have the bad ankles no more. They done moved on from, the We Believe Warriors was like the real first change. Like, when they turned the corner, you could say, okay, this is a respectable team for the very first time in my lifetime. We Believe, and they overcame the Dallas Mavericks. It's like, okay, that's a hell of a team. Everybody liked that team. But like up until that point, the Warriors were horrible all throughout the course of my life. That was a lot of living, a lot of years of me paying attention to the NBA where the Warriors had never been any good. So like I can see where teams turn the corner. Maybe the Clippers will finally turn the corner, but it's not about the turning the corner. It's about them ever living up to expectations now that they have. And the answer is no. They're just taking on a different level of disappointment. Now it's just not overwhelming, ridiculous ineptitude. It's year in and year out coming up short to the expectations. It's a new level of failure for the Clippers, but it's still the same failure. Salute the Kobe minute. It's still the same failure. So for me, could this be the year something changes with the Clippers? Sure. As a lifetime Angelino, would I tell you to bet on that? No. We've already been down the road where this is the year. You're wrong about the Clippers. This is the year. I've already seen that like 3 times in my lifetime. They failed every one of them years. Every one of them years they failed. This is the year. You're going to see. I bet you all the money in the world. Okay, fine. Try it. Go for it. And I told them the same thing then as I'm telling you now. I brought up the lore. They did Clippers, bro. They're just going to suck. It doesn't matter who you put in a uniform. It literally doesn't matter, bro. They're going to find a way to do less than what they're supposed to or nothing at all. It's one or the other. It's just what to expect. Sometimes you just got to throw away the reality of things as it pertains to you put a good team together, no matter what the uniform is, they can show out, and this is the year. There are certain situations where the lure is stronger than the gravity itself. And in the Clippers' fate, that is what it's been for over 50 years. The lure is stronger than the gravity. They ain't doing nothing. And so that's what I'll tell y'all right now. I ain't doing nothing. I don't know what's going to change the fate of the Clippers. I'd likely suggest them move out of the city and change the name, change the color scheme. Become something else. Then to put together a hell of a team, and you'll win something. Or get damn close to where the expectations are not that you're so good and then you fall underneath them. Someday to exceed expectations. Someday. But have they ever done that? No. They've never exceeded expectations. The only time that I could accuse them of maybe exceeding expectations is when Elton Brand was an MVP candidate. And they got to like the second round. Does anybody even remember that? I'm old enough to remember that. Elton Brand was a fantastic Clipper. Why didn't they retire his jersey? I don't know. But he had a hell of a tenure with them. They were legitimate as they could possibly have been under those circumstances, under his tenure as the best player. And they didn't as much as acknowledge the man with a so long. I mean, I don't want people to think that I believe the Clippers can never get it together. But as it pertains to me, any given year, actually thinking they have, I'll never think that they will get it together any given year. They may get it together, but it's going to definitely be me saying this that year. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. So, yeah, that's what I got to say, man. And with that being said, this could be the year. Sure, why not? Because my tune's going to always be the same. But I don't expect it. I don't expect it. And you should not either. So, moving on from them, Memphis Grizzlies headed in the wrong direction. I think 12 coming back and gives them at least some superstar, ceiling to where a superstar can lead you anywhere. That type of ceiling is always important. 12 is a hell of a basketball player. I think people forget how much of a scientist he can be because of all the off-the-court antic stuff and just where the team is. But him in a 7-game series, if he's playing his best ball, could be very devastating. But I don't know. We've talked about Memphis a lot over the last couple of weeks, and I just think they've taken some real steps backward with their talent to try to suit their books. And I think it'll help them maybe over the next course of the 4 or 5 years. But in the short term, they're not where they need to be to really meet the expectations that I had for them at the beginning of the season when I thought that they could potentially be the team to come out of the West. They just don't have that same talent anymore. They moved on from a lot of those guys that made them as strong as they were, relying upon rookies. And if the season were to start today, I don't know if they make the playoffs. And that's what they're running out there right now. So at this point, I see them in the play-in tournament, and they really need to get out of that space. They need to get in that top 6. Because if they don't, I don't even think they can get out of the play-in tournament. I don't think they're talented enough to beat any of those teams, really. Sacramento, like if I was to pick Memphis or Sacramento right now, I'd probably go with Sacramento winning the game. Dallas or Memphis right now, 12 gives me confidence. I don't know about AD. I don't think the continuity's really there. I don't think the talent's really there for Dallas until they get everybody back. No Gafford, no Derek Lively. I don't think he's back yet. I doubt it. But I don't think they're good enough. So maybe they could beat Dallas. Maybe they can beat Dallas. But I don't have them beating winning a one-game situation against Sacramento. I don't have them winning a one-game situation out of any of those teams that'll fall, just like Golden State or Clippers or the Lakers. If we would happen to fall, there's no way I see them beating those teams in a one-game situation right now. I don't see it. And a one-game situation ain't